It's another week in the For Your Reference household, and it is another event watching extravaganza. Friends and lovers, this is actually the first time we've covered Vin Diesel on the podcast. Can you believe?
Yeah.
Also, R.I.P. Paul Walker. This is also the first time. Michelle Rodriguez, technically Avatar, I guess. We are well steeped in Tyrese Gibson. He is as fine as he is ridiculous, friends and lovers. Also, John Cena, go and check out our Peacemaker episode. It is going to get muy caliente. It's also our first Jason Statham's.
Oh, weird.
I'm not here for the hair extensions, but I'm here for the bold editions of The Family. Let's get on with the show. Hey friends and NOS God lovers, welcome back to the For Your Reference podcast. You got your host, KT.
And Doti.
Vroom, vroom. Pull up to the starting line, car nerds. Vroom, vroom. Make it flashy, sexy Hollywood. I'm not done yet. Do you not remember Halloween?
Oh, wow.
Vroom, vroom. We worldwide drifting, baby. Vroom, vroom. Meet me at the body shop with promising remnants of a foundation. Vroom, vroom. Yes, this is Fast Five. Move over, virgins. This is for boys that fuck. Vroom, vroom. I'd like to inform you that my Big Ben is expanding.
Wow.
Vroom, vroom. Protect the family from mustache-twirling villains and God's eye. Vroom, vroom. Protect the family from dreadlock-twirling villains and baby snatchers.
Okay.
Vroom, vroom. Flash back in time to daddy loving and brotherhood. And finally, vroom, vroom. Flash forward in time to daddy hating and eccentric flamboyance.
Wow. And that's our review, guys. See you later.
Oh, wow. I am going to miss OT just randomly yelling, Danza Kuduro!
Excuse you.
You're not feeling Puerto Rican?
I got my Puerto Rican here.
It was set in Brazil, but it was filmed, and we also have Don Omar, that is Puerto Rican. Shout out to T.S. Madison. We love and Lord in the For Your Reference household. Oh, how are you feeling, OT?
Oh, energized. Just from that.
You know, this is one of the biggest sort of franchise. Obviously, we rival Halloween and other horror franchises. So I'm not going to read all of the sort of information, maybe just some key things. You know, and then we'll get into general first impressions. We also don't have an official ranking as well, so we'll get into that. And, you know, there are some themes beyond family, and I would like to explore, if we can, ever so nasty. We are covering all 10 Fast films, so if you haven't watched Fast X, I guess we'll see where we feel in the ratings. But spoiler, NOS.
Noise.
We have the OG Fast and Furious. We have Too Fast, Too Furious. We were watching Tyrese's interview with Big Boy, and Tyrese. The interesting thing was when we were watching the franchise, me for the first time ever, my assumption was naturally John Singleton is directing. That's how Tyrese got ushered into the franchise, but apparently it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Everyone loves their baby boys. It's not just about Ving Rhames' African squats. If you didn't get the reference, friends and lovers, you might be the other side of the demographic. Ew.
Oh, wow.
We have we have the Fast and Furious, which is pretty much enter the realm of Justin Lin. Fast and Furious, Fast 5, which a lot of people agree is the best of the franchise. And I guess we'll come to decide, you know, individually how we feel about that statement. Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7. I'm not sure how I feel about women. James Wan. Wow. So it wasn't a textured film in Malignant. You just wanted to hurt the woman, hey?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's the film where The Rock started saying, I think Elena was trying to care for him and be like, hey, make sure you're not in the office for too long. And he was like, don't tell me how long I can stay here, woman. Bruh. The Fate of the Furious, F. Gary Gray, F9, we have the return of Justin Lin, and Fast X is where we are now. Whole bunch of box offices, which maybe we can pepper in as we're discussing. Obviously, that will kind of get in the way. Shout outs to the franchise that's all about family. And I don't think we even knew ethnically whether Toretto was like Italian or whether it was Latinx. Like for me, I was like, okay. Maybe he was jumping through buildings trying to figure out his history.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way to do Ancestry.com. Or you can do Kubla Khan, Ronnie Cheng on History of the World Part 2.
Exactly. All related.
All related. And then obviously there's ratings and that sort of thing. Oh, man. I said it in the Tarantino run specifically with, Jackie Brown as well as Pulp Fiction. I said it in our Bad Boys episode. There's just like soundtracks are really what make a film, in my opinion, especially when you're keying in into all of the fun and all of the frivolity. Pump it up, Joe Budden. He's obviously doing other things at the moment. Ludacris, Area Codes was in the first film. What a deep cut. It was important to bring the hip hops and the culture to the franchise. Tokyo Drift, I already talked about Don Omar. It's just great soundtrack. But do you want to do rankings or you want to do first impressions first?
Ooh. I reckon let's start with first impressions.
Oh, you're a boy that fucks.
I love the Fast and Furious franchise. I think it offered a fresh take to the car culture, especially in the moving going world. It felt fresh. I remember watching it back then and it was something that just stuck with me. And I remember us rewatching it throughout. There were things that I even forgotten. I didn't even remember Vin Diesel wasn't in the second.
Yeah.
That was shocking and surprising to me.
Shout outs to our beloved Julio from the Contrarians. As we were watching, I think we got up to 5 and 6. We were doing the rankings actively and both of us had Too Fast at the top and he's like, you just don't like Vin Diesel, do you?
No, but you could tell the difference when he's not there.
Yeah. Because
he just brings a different energy to it all together.
Okay, we'll get to rankings and discuss, but you keep going, my love.
But amazing franchise. I think it's one of those things that has become part of the culture right now, and you can't just not watch it.
Yeah. The Fast and Furious franchise is a puzzle to me in the sense that it's made up of so many components, perhaps, if I can pardon the pun, under the hood of a car. The first film was very much for car nerds. It could have stayed in obscurity in, DVD collections for those that are really into it. The amount of times that they reference NOS and they never did for the rest of the franchise. Like it was very much a wink and a nudge to those that love cars. What that also says was perhaps I wasn't necessarily keyed into it. But it very much was like, it doesn't really matter if anyone's interested. We're making this film. And then bringing on John Singleton to make Too Fast, Too Furious, we see the parts of car racing that make it exciting and translate it into a flashy Hollywood franchise. I really feel like Too Fast was the exodus of what we've come to know with the Fast and Furious franchise.
Facts.
Tokyo Drift had Grease level actors. You can't tell me he was supposed to be 17, 18 years old. Him and his father were compadres of the same peers. Bow Wow, it was nice to see Bow Wow there. Introduction of Han, most welcome. If you told me Sung Kang was in the Fast and Furious franchise, I probably would have dipped my toe in a lot sooner. Fast 4, I thought was I wasn't interested in Fast 4. Mostly because I appreciate it for it building the foundation for the growing sort of universe that is created in Fast and Furious now. But I thought it was quite boring generally.
But it's sort of the gateway where it brings all the casts back together.
No, I get that. I understand that. But I'm saying, all of the elements were, like you said, for a purpose. So it wasn't necessarily tantalizing to my eyes or my heart chambers.
Must have been titillating though.
Also, can we just say that this is probably the best anime ever? Like, nothing fucking matters in this franchise. No one dies. There's no real rivalries. We all become best friends for another common enemy.
Do we even get to see blood?
Well, it is PG.
See, super anime.
Because there's God of the Titans where they make the blood gold because of the rating. So you're probably spot on. That makes no sense with all of the explosions that they have. Yeah, but it's kind of like whose line is it anyway? Like the points don't matter, nothing matters. It's all just happening. But you don't necessarily put a learned eye to this franchise. That's not necessarily what this franchise is, right? Fast Five, I can get why people liked it. I also liked it. However, I do have that sort of sense of we are continuing a franchise. And, even in a Halloween episode, I kind of talked about that as well. So for me, on balance, it doesn't necessarily meet it because of that virtue, if that makes sense.
No, I think it added a bit more intricate storytelling to its repertoire in 5, where it just all accumulated into this perfect sort of movie for the franchise.
Yeah.
And it set the tone for what people should expect going forward.
Yeah.
And after each iteration, you could see, this is why we had 5.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, let me not steal your joy. Yeah, but I guess generally overall, if we're talking about the Fast and Furious franchise, there are components that I absolutely intensely enjoy throughout the whole franchise. But for a lot of it, the overarching plot line isn't interesting. And I don't even mean leave your brain at home, leave your panties at home, just open yourself to what the film is. I'm not even talking from that point of view. I'm just I don't even care that they fly all the way into space and that sort of thing. I don't even care about that. I'm just even for a popcorn film, there still needs to be something, If I may quote the daddy of the world, Denzel Washington, I'm leaving here with something, I want to leave here with something.
I think we all got out something from the movie, though.
I guess so. But give me your thoughts on Fast 10 and we'll get to the rankings.
Successfully upholds the Fast and Furious franchise's legacy with expertly choreographed high-octane action, an exhilarating cinematic experience, thoroughly engaging. I left that cinema with a bloody bounce. It was fun.
With a bounce and a two-step?
Yeah, too bad I didn't have a drink in one hand. But wow. I think the aspects of the movie that I know we'll get into that I felt we could do without.
Okay.
I think it was down to the dial up to the max when it came to Memoir's ridiculousness.
Hey.
But overall, I think it did such a wonderful job in keeping us engaged throughout. And I think I'm also glad it wasn't 3 hours. I had this expectation that it will be super long, but it didn't feel like that, even with its 2-hour runtime.
Well, I'm picking up what you're putting down. If you hold still, I can throw it back.
Throw it back?
I would say you'd see me in the car montages, but apparently, according to the footage, I got too much ass. Fast X keeps its hand on the wheel for another bombastic addition to the family. Rump shaking, fist pumping, and explosive.
I see you.
Okay, all right. Let's rank these films before we actually talk about them.
Okay, so my number 1 is Fast 5.
Okay, film bro.
Followed by Fast X.
Hey, how?
Just a little bit.
You don't get Fast anything else if Too Fast didn't exist.
I know you have heavy John Singleton tax in there, so I'll just leave it at that and move on. But my third one is Too Fast, Too Furious.
Okay, before just to confuse the rankings even more, let me give you my top 3. Obviously, Too Fast, Too Furious.
Mm-hmm.
The original Fast and the Furious.
Mm-hmm.
Fast 5.
Okay.
All right, you continue your list, my love.
My fourth one is Fast and the Furious, the 4th iteration. Followed by the Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
Then the Fate of the Furious.
Okay.
Then I have Furious 7, Fast and the Furious 6, F9, and then the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift as my last.
Okay. All right. I think for the most part, this franchise works. Individually, I guess we can all decide. So, Too Fast and Furious, the original Fast and the Furious, Fast 5, Fast X is top 4, so that's cool. The Fate of the Furious, Fast and the Furious 6, F9, Furious 7, Tokyo Drift, and then the 4th Fast and Furious film.
Okay, I hear you.
We didn't care for Tokyo Drift, did we?
No, it was just nonsense.
There were some good parts to it, but I think,
Not enough to warrant me thinking that it even deserves to be, like, there wasn't as much ridiculousness in Tokyo Drift. We were taken away from a lot of the people that we knew.
They were resetting the story, essentially.
Yeah. And
it was the same thing without any investment in character.
There's a reason why Vin Diesel didn't want to do it.
Well, I think he was also negotiating Riddick as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, but also he didn't want to do it.
Can we also lay some love, splooshes, and accolades to Vin Diesel, who holds this whole franchise on his motherfucking back?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter what happened in the franchise, but this is his, man.
It is. And you can tell. You can notice when he's not there.
With me saying Too Fast is my favorite one. Mm-hmm. But that's because they were in negotiations at the time. But this is Vin Diesel's franchise. And, you know, he's got many other franchises as well. But the success in the distilling, and I think a lot of the lines, a lot of the dialogue is cheesy. It's never cringe though, and it feels earnest from Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I wouldn't characterize it as cringe in any sort of way.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it just works.
Yeah.
It just finds a way to work. Before we go into the themes, I want to touch on what you think, of across the whole franchise, what works for you?
Just delving into the ridiculousness of the world they've built.
Okay. It never felt too far-fetched to you?
It didn't. Like, there were moments where I think they just flipped the switch and there was no turning back.
Uh-huh.
And once that happened, we were fully bought in. Like, there were stunts being pulled and I was like, whoa, this is just, it makes for great cinematography and all that. You have just to chuck reality at the back of your mind when it comes to Fast and the Furious. Otherwise, it's not about that.
Yeah, no, you absolutely have to like suspend any sort of like it's just the world. It's the world that it's in.
Yeah, to the point where you get to 9 and they go to the moon. That's like, of course they do. What else can they not do with cars on Earth that, they've done everything else? Take us to the moon, man.
Here are the things that I love about the Fast franchise. Obviously, Vin Diesel. Tyrese really revived, injected love and joy into this franchise. I will ignore the Django audition tape. I will ignore the ridiculousness online. I will ignore the whole beef with The Rock. Well, to be fair, I wasn't really, keeping up to date with that. But this Tyrese, friends and lovers, we don't have time. We don't even have time to talk about all of the films. We don't even have time to talk about all of my favorite Tyreses. Obviously, him on a bus singing Sweet Lady is top tier Tyrese.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But man, he just made it work. We hungry, man. Come on, man. We hungry. He really brought an energy to Too Fast that really just catapulted this franchise. And even I told you when we were watching Too Fast, I was saying it felt like at any time Mike Lowry was going to show up. And apparently they were filming on like two other sides of the same location. So that's pretty cool, man. Like Tyrese to me is the source. Like he's the success. Aside from Vin Diesel, yeah, cool. But Tyrese.
All right, I hear you.
Don Omar is one of the best parts of this franchise. I know no one's talking about it, but I am. I love Sung Kang. Maybe I just need to stop talking about the males. But you know, there's something for everyone, OT. You go vroom vroom, I go sploosh sploosh. The soundtracks are also like part of the fun of this franchise.
Sure.
What I don't care for are the cars.
Everything but the cars.
What I don't care for are the cars. The ridiculousness, I guess, you know, like, I don't know. It's, you just accept it's part and parcel, you know, like you're watching a Jason X, for example, or you're watching like Halloween, show it your tits, you know, like you just key into what the universe or what the world is.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into some themes. Feel free to jump across any of the films, OT, because, you know, we only have but so much time. I want to talk about the cars element. There's been quite an evolution of cars throughout the films. I feel like anything can be done in a car.
Anything and everything can be done with a car.
Yeah.
We've seen Dom save countless of people using cars, throw his body around, use a car as a pivot to do whatever it is he wants. Like, I can't wait for a different iteration just to see what more can they do. Because I can't even think of anything else they can do with cars.
That's a dare, though. You're daring the franchise. What more have you got, bro?
Building to building, they've done it. Swing across the canyon with a car, they've done it.
But you know, like, and again, I am new to the franchise, friends and lovers, so it became an event watching for the first time experience for me. Because we tried watching Fast 9 and I had no context. I was not steeped in the world of Fast and the Furious. And I don't think we even got to the point of them flying up to space, right? I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. Even Hobbs and Shaw, I was like, nah. Can we also talk about unnecessary huckers? Because there was also an unnecessary hucker, you know, earlier in the franchise as well, in Furious 8, right? Anyway, that's a story for another day. It was worth to watch the franchise to get the context of the world, because once we got to F9, right, I don't understand why people that had watched the franchise were so incredulous at the fact of him flying into space. Because if you've watched all of the Fast like films, like you said, what more can you do? It's natural progression. Even before flying to space and, you know, across all of the buildings in the UAE, like, he was like catapulting his car to like disassemble guns on a helicopter.
Yeah, he's taking myriad of flying objects with his car.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, it makes sense that they went to space.
Yeah, I would never want to play rock, paper, scissors with them because rules of that don't apply.
No. Absolutely
Because you
not.
think helicopter beats car. Nope, doesn't work that way.
Let's talk about family. Do you feel like... I also was surprised that the word family wasn't used as much as I thought it would be, considering that's the meme-ified version of the Fast and Furious franchise. What did you think of the evolving concept of family?
I appreciated it. They covered it in a way that it didn't make it feel as if it was corny or a way to get out of it. To, you know, they didn't use it as an ex machina pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, I think the storyline was intricate enough to buy into the fact that they would be that close. You know, everyone had their own backstory that drove them into this sort of family.
Yeah, right.
Even when Bran was joining in, you know, they showed that trepidation up until...
You don't know Mika. Apparently, he ad-libbed that line himself.
Oh yeah. Even when we come to,
It didn't feel forced to you?
it didn't.
Too forced, too furious?
Nah, it all gelled. I didn't get how Ramsey just stayed and became part of it.
Yeah, like with her level of skill, wouldn't she first off be like a hot commodity, aside from being a hot lady? But wouldn't she be wanting to do something else?
Like, she came, she was rescued, and she just lingered. I was like, okay, cool. Now you're part of this.
Yikes, I wouldn't describe her character that way.
Oh, wow.
Did you like any of the females? Dwayne the OT Johnson?
Oh, there's females.
I don't know. I think the concept of family was a bit lofty. Again, I thought the whole time they were Italian, and then Rita Morena showed up, and I was like, okay, I guess so. I was like, all right. But again, it's not what makes or break the franchise.
I think it's what makes it.
Well, if that's the case, then this franchise doesn't work then.
It's the close knit of the group that
I got confused because we saw Luke Evans and I was like, you're not Jason Statham's. And then we saw Jason Statham. I must say, if we move into like the cast editions, it's not necessarily family, but, you know, trying to inject more energy, you know, different sort of talent into the franchise. All of the bold additions worked in this franchise.
Yeah.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, absolutely.
I'm balding everyone, so maybe I can be, you know.
Yeah. I guess if that's the way you want to enter the franchise. Jason Statham's was great. I loved him in particular because, you know, when you have the opposition of Dom, the same ridiculous sort of lines were being said by very serious sort of people. And it wasn't done in a way that was... It just didn't vibe with me. But whenever Jason Statham's was throwing back the same sort of ridiculous lines, I'm like, this works.
It's got to be the British accent, isn't it?
I guess so. Is your Big Ben expanding? Charlize Theron, I don't necessarily cared for. How do you feel about the dreadies? Is she a leftover extra from The Matrix?
Oh, yeah. She can have dreadies all she wants.
We might as well talk about it now. How did you feel about Momoa? I don't know if it was a deliberate wink to have another brown person since The Rock couldn't be there. Also, in his case file, because I was like, how does it make sense that he's here and he's the son of Reyes? And then in the file, he was noted as Pacific Islander. Like, what does that... Like, can we not get some, like, specific sort of location?
Oh, fuck specificity. You see the Pacific Islands and the stage? Somewhere there, eh?
Well, some discoverers would differentiate us. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I felt that it was a bit over the top when it came to his character.
I said it to you. I said it to our dear friend Colby. Colby told me. Jason Momoa's character brought the same energy that Ken Jeong brought to The Hangover. However, it only worked in The Hangover.
And when you said that, it just clicked. I couldn't unsee it.
It was... Thank you.
I really couldn't see it. And he does. He needed to rein it in a bit.
Yeah.
And I think they were playing too much on, oh, I'm macho. I can't be saying this. I can't have bloody knots on my head. I can't, like, oh, come on now.
I can't have nail polish. Maybe it was like, this is like Jason Momoa's Legally Blonde. He was doing the things that you wouldn't expect a masculine man to be doing. I love John Cena, but I don't necessarily think it was a make or break for him. I think it was in Fast 9. Yes, it was in Fast 9 when I was walking around wearing leather jackets, and I'm like, I can only take you seriously if you're wearing the Peacemaker outfit, my friend.
That's your bias, Joey.
All of the bold additions work. The hair extensions to the cast additions don't work.
Yeah.
Helen Mirren was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is this a safe space, OT?
Always is.
Christopher Bridges, I love you. Congratulations for your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. However, his personality as a character wasn't as good as Tyrese's. Yet he was offering the same, he was in the same lane. You see what I'm saying? And if I can be the scrutinous Katie that we all know and perhaps love me to be, how did he become the guy that was organizing events to becoming the car expert? Okay. And then he became like a tech genius.
How do you fly a car? Doesn't matter.
Bow wow.
In this world, he can be whatever it is he wants to be.
I guess so, but like...
Maybe he was just focusing on mechanical aspects of his skills.
But tonally, I don't think his character necessarily worked. In Apology, I will quote him in Jarvis's song Pretty Girl. She got a big old onion booty and it makes me want to cry.
Oh,
so you're welcome to my onion booty, Ludacris, as an apology. But I don't think the character... I love seeing Ludacris. And I'm so glad that he's been a part of this franchise for decades. However, I had to get that off my chest and my onion booty.
I think he works. I think the way they...
Is this not a place of discourse?
No, it's not. Okay. When it comes to this. I think the way especially they interact with Tyrese's character just works quite well.
You see, and that's what I'm saying. The magic in this franchise isn't the intricacies of the plot. Because you see, even now, we're saying Tyrese and Ludacris because that's who they are.
They come as a pair.
No, but I'm saying, and you say The Rock, you say Vin Diesel. It doesn't fucking matter what their characters' names are. But that's the fun of the franchise. I must say, I'm not necessarily a fan of Gal Gadot, but the way she sacrificed her life for Han was very emotional.
Yeah, you almost cried.
I did, but maybe because it was my big old onion booty that made me want to cry.
Or maybe just pictured her singing Imagine to you.
Jesus Christ. People forget Pedro Pascal was in that, but anyway.
Shit.
But also, she might not be dead.
She's not. We see her.
Exactly.
No one dies in this. Even John Cena, I'm pretty sure when the next iteration of Fast X comes out,
yeah,
he'll be alive somehow. He would have had a hatch or some shit, crawled out.
I must say, though, I think Fast and Furious is the formula of having a franchise that appeals to adults but is still PG-13. And the reason why it can do that is because it never really gets serious. You know what I mean? If it tried to be a serious franchise, you couldn't do it in a PG format, just like Megan, for example.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't even want them to close this out. Just continue doing fast movies. You'll always have the audience. People will always come because it's just fun times. Yeah. It's fun times and people will show up to have fun at the cinema.
My titties will be dragging on the floor and I'll still be saying, Danza Kuduro!
I think we got very different things from this.
I'm pretty sure I picked up exactly what I was supposed to in this franchise.
Fair enough.
Something that I want to end on, and you can end however you love, my love. Senor Reyes, he said something that was very interesting. And again, this franchise keeps it light and tight, but this was something that I latched onto, and I'm like, there could be something here. He was talking about how he was able to have a stronghold in Brazil. And he said, if you dominate with violence, they will fight back because they have nothing. And he was comparing the colonizers, yes, friends and lovers all around the world, between Spain and Portugal, right? And he was saying, the Spanish just came in with their violence. However, the Portuguese came with gifts. So he was saying, I give water, I give electricity, so they obey.
It's something that escaped Otto in Belly.
Oh, piss off, OT.
Facts.
We're having fun here.
We're having fun, but I can also drop some truth bombs.
Oh, so you can speak real truth on Nas, but I can't speak real truth on Ludacris.
There's a line. But 100%. I think the way he showed how he led, you could see just, why he was there.
All right.
Yeah. And it was sort of good seeing him in Fast X again.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yes, he's dead and it's sort of a flashback, but it's good because he's he's one of those people that has set up the sort of closest downfall to the family, as close as any other villain.
Well, that stays a villain.
True that. Stays a villain is very important in that.
They don't become best friends at the end of it. You know, in some review episodes, we spend a lot of time researching. We get into some real shit. This episode was chaotic as fuck. But I think it also suits the tone of this fucking franchise.
It does.
Thank you so much, friends and lovers, for joining us another week in the For Your Reference household. We're going to finish off in a segment we call For Your Reference. OT.
I'd like to reference the transporter.
Oh.
Because we can Statham doing stuff in a car with guns, sort of.
Not to correct your reference, but you could have done Wrath of Man as well.
Nah, bruv.
All right.
Transporter is a franchise.
Okay. Well, let me slap you with this recommendation, OT. Bad Boys.
Oh, nice.
If you'd like to see OT shake his tail feather on Twitter and Instagram, we're @4yourfpod.
Write us an email at hello@4podcast.com.
We're also on, maybe for the last time, Danza Kururo podcast if you'd like to leave a rating and review. And we'll see you guys next week for The Little Mermaid.
See y'all.
Glub, glub.